Sai Ram, and welcome once more to this serial presenting the Gita as a simple conversation. When we broke off last time, we saw Arjuna was reeling under the impact of the cosmic vision or the Vishwarupa Darshan granted by the Lord to him. Utterly humbled, Arjuna was trying to find his voice and say something. Palms united in humble salutation, body trembling, Arjuna now starts speaking in a choked voice, filled with fear. Let's pick up from there.
Lord, I now understand why devotees constantly chant your name and never miss an opportunity to proclaim your matchless glory. And why not, my Lord, since you are everything and there is nothing other than you. Lord, at this point, I have an apology to make. Till now, not knowing who exactly you are, I have taken many liberties with you, imagining you to be merely Krishna, my friend. Please pardon me, my Lord, for all my indiscretions. I feel extremely ashamed and almost embarrassed. I just don't know how to seek your forgiveness. All I can say is, please forgive me and forget all that I said or did in stupidity and ignorance. Prostrating before you, I pray to you to bear with me, even as a father is indulgent to his wayward son, and a kind man to his errant friend. As for this extraordinary vision that you have granted me, I rejoice that I have seen what no man has seen till now. At the same time, this spectacle is most frightening. Therefore, my Lord, I humbly pray that you revert to your normal human form, the beautiful, ever-smiling form of Krishna that we all are so accustomed to.
Krishna understands Arjuna's problem and immediately switches from the cosmic to the normal form. Krishna then says,
Arjuna, do you realize that you have seen what even the rishis and devas have not? This vision is a privilege that no austerity can ever earn, and yet you have been blessed with that. Do you know why? Because you are dear to me. That is why.
And then the Lord stresses again how ready He always is to help. If only man would understand that and appeal to Him, how different the world would be.
Partha, if only man would realize that I am ever ready to help, assist and oblige in every possible way. All that he has to do is to become dear to me. Soon I shall tell you how that can be done. Arjuna, for now understand that he who is steadfast in his devotion to me, who dedicates every action to me, and who is free from worldly attachment, such a one would unfailingly come to me.
What an incomparable assurance! Only God can make such declarations. Krishna now shows his compassion and asks,
Arjuna, you look pretty dazed. How are you feeling? Are you all right?
Lord, what can I say? I came here with a friend, and now I am with God?
Arjuna, you seem to forget that God is in fact your best friend. Humans will be friendly to you as long it suits them. But let trouble visit you, and these so-called friends would simply vanish. God is not like that. He always helps. He alone is your true friend.
Lord, I want to go back to this question of Lord incarnating on earth. What is the difference between you, the formless God, and you, the God with form?
That is a good question. I am formless as the unmanifest divinity, but when I incarnate, I take a form, restricting myself to many of the limitations that apply to humans. With a form, this body of mine has prana, or the life principle. This life principle is sometimes called jiva and is an aspect of creation. My unmanifest divinity is the source of this jiva. Earlier, I described a living person as the Atma trapped in a cage or the body. The embodied Atma is also called Jivatma. Thus, Arjuna, you are a Jivatma.
Krishna, what about you? Are you also a Jivatma?
No way. I am special. I am the Paramatma. Don't ask me for the difference right now. Maybe I shall come back to that later.
Lord, you say that though you too have the same sort of human forms like all of us mortals do, you are different. In what way?
Simple. You say you love me. True. However, on close examination your love would be found to be contaminated with selfishness. My love never is, and that is the fundamental difference.
Does that mean that divine love exists only in you?
Not really. When humans are born, God sends them with that full quota of divine love, but they allow it to get contaminated. That is the problem.
And this contamination is due to the mind?
Absolutely. The mind is dragged by the senses into the external world, and if man does not train to see God everywhere in the external world, he would soon forget God. Selfishness, etc. then have a golden opportunity to pollute the mind, and that is how divine love starts getting contaminated. Divine love is present in every heart, but when it flows out into the world through the mind, the senses and the body, it almost invariably gets adulterated. It is this adulterated stuff that appears as attachment between mother and son, as infatuation between husband and wife, as desire between man and worldly attractions, and so on.
Lord, I agree that love in man can get polluted, but surely the love man has for God is free from pollution, right?
Arjuna, how I wish what you say is true. Yes, I have many devotees of all sorts, and in a manner of speaking, they all do love me. However, almost everyone comes to me with his or her own agenda.
That is sad. You said you had many kinds of devotees. How many kinds are there?
Broadly speaking, one can identify 4 categories amongst the devotees. All devotees love me, no doubt, but except the devotees in category 4, all want something or the other from me. People in category 1 want wealth. People in category 2 want their problems solved and fixed. And people in category 3 hunger for knowledge, which by the way is a very good thing.
What about the 4th category of devotees, O Lord?
They are the jnanis. They want nothing, not even from me. They just meditate on me and experience bliss. But I have no complaints. No matter to which category people belong, I love them all and equally too. All are the same to me, and I give to each what he wants. Do you know why? Because I hope that one day humans would ask for what I really like to give. Do you want to know what that is? Why, this very knowledge of self or Atma Jnana that I am imparting to you right now. Arjuna, it is funny. People ask me for all kinds of trivial things and trinkets when I can offer the greatest possible boon.
Swami says the same thing. He says, I give you what you want, so that you would ask what I have come to give. Baba says, man thinks God comes down like a repairman, an electrician or a plumber who repairs things when they go wrong. No, He does not incarnate for that purpose, although man believes that is what God is here for. God comes down to personally advise and guide man. Man it is who has caused all the problems, and man it is who must also fix them. God will guide and advise, but the repair work has to be done by man. There is no escape from it. Swami says, God created the world and put in it every convenience man would ask for. For example, there is air everywhere for man to breathe, and it comes free. But what does man do? He pollutes it. God gives man water free through rain, lakes and rivers. But what does man do? He wastes water and also pollutes it. Is God responsible for the problems humanity is facing today? Not at all. It is the mind that is at the root of all problems, from terrorism to pollution to poverty. And it is to help man purify his mind that God incarnates. Let's go back to Arjuna.
Lord, if I understand you correctly, man having come from God is pure intrinsically, and it is during his stay on earth that he acquires impurities.
That is right. When water comes down as rain, it is pure. But if that water flows into a gutter, obviously that water would get polluted.
How can man get rid of pollution?
That is simple. By seeking a guru and learning from the guru.
What exactly does the guru do?
To know the answer to that, we have to wait till next time. May God be with you. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, and welcome once again to our serial presentation of the Gita as a simple dialogue. Last time, just as we were nearing the end, Krishna told Arjuna about gurus. Arjuna then asked, what exactly does the guru do? Let us see what reply the Lord gives.
Arjuna, you want to know what a guru does? I shall tell you. People think that guru imparts jnana. This is pure nonsense. Jnana is God, and since God is in you already, where is the question of the guru giving you jnana?
I am a bit confused, Lord. If the guru does not impart jnana, then what does he do?
Well, guru does the obvious thing. Let me put it in this way. Suppose a child goes out to play and comes back home rather dirty. What does the mother do?
That is easy. The mother would clean the child.
That exactly is what the guru also does.
I don't understand. What does it mean to say that the guru cleans the disciple?
What it means is that the guru helps the student to get rid of all false notions, the cloud of ignorance. In short, the guru does not impart jnana, but merely removes ajnana or spiritual ignorance in humans. When ignorance is removed, jnana latent within automatically shines.
Lord, can you please explain that with, say, an example?
Sure. Arjuna, sometimes the sun is covered by the clouds. When the sun is so covered, the level of ambient light goes down. Ajnana or spiritual ignorance is like a cloud that covers the jnana or brightness of the divine wisdom within. When the cloud is blown away by the wind, the sun becomes visible again and there is brightness all around.
So, Keshava, the guru is like the wind that blows away the cloud of ignorance?
Exactly.
And is that what you also do when you incarnate?
Yes, to a large extent. Just recall what I was telling you earlier. I was talking mostly about the mistakes you are making, and those mistakes are the result of spiritual ignorance.
So Lord, you are also a guru?
You may say that. Actually, the world refers to God as Sadguru, or the Guru of Gurus.
Oh Lord, I simply do not know what to say. Here in this world, we express gratitude to gurus by offering dakshina. Lord, what dakshina should I offer to you?
Arjuna, it is very nice of you to think of making an offering to me. Now let me see what I could ask from you. The worldly gurus have to survive, and so they accept, although somewhat reluctantly, money and worldly gifts. As for me, I have everything. So I suggest that you offer me your bad habits.
Lord, you cannot be serious. How can I offer bad habits to you?
Arjuna, it is not so outrageous as you seem to imagine. Remember that famous story of the Devas and Asuras churning the ocean of milk? And what was the first thing to come out? Poison. And who swallowed it? The Lord. God is ready to accept your contamination so that you may become pure.
Pointing all this out, Swami gives an interesting example. In the old days, whenever one had a currency note that was badly soiled, one could get it exchanged for a brand new currency note in the Reserve Bank. Swami says that in the Reserve Bank of God, one can exchange an impure heart for a pure one. But for that, one must first surrender the impurities to God. That is God. He wants absolutely nothing from us in terms of worldly items. In the Gita, he makes it very clear by saying that he is satisfied with just flower, a leaf, or even water.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachhati tadaham bhaktyupahridam asnami prayatatmanah.
Any offering by an earnest devotee, be it just a leaf or a flower or a fruit or even water, if the offering is made to me with full devotion, I lovingly accept.
Arjuna has by now completely forgotten about the war, his hesitation to fight in the war, etc. He is deeply absorbed in understanding the various things Krishna has been teaching him, and he wants to know more and more. What's the next question Arjuna is going to ask? Let us find out.
Lord, you say that you are formless, but can also assume any form, especially to please your devotees. This being the case, I want to know how exactly am I to worship you? Should I worship you as the formless God or as the God with form? Of the two methods, which is better for me?
Arjuna, I am glad you have asked me this question. Both types of worship, if followed with great sincerity, would lead to the same goal, that is, merger with me. But considering the practical aspects, I would suggest that you focus on worship of God with form. Indeed, this is the advice I would give to 99.99% of the devotees.
Lord, is there any reason why you say so?
Yes, you see Arjuna, it is easy to say that God is without form and all that, and that therefore he should be worshipped in a formless aspect. He certainly can be, but the kind of worship is not easy, I assure you.
What's the problem, Lord?
The problem is the mind, of course. Arjuna, man's true nature is infinite, and so is his mind. But when man's outlook is largely external, being focused on the world and glittery things it offers, his vision becomes narrow. Tell me, how can a person with limited vision really and truly worship the infinite?
Krishna, does that mean that there is no hope for one who is immersed in the worldly affairs? If that is true, what happens to people like me? I am a Kshatriya and all my duties are in this world. How can I spend hours and hours meditating and all that?
Arjuna, that precisely is the issue I am addressing. I am aware that people of the world have to spend time in this world, engaged in worldly matters. But by spiritualizing their time, they would be spiritualizing their life. And that is the way out. Listen carefully.
This is where Krishna is going to introduce the famous Bhakti Yoga. Prior to the Gita, Bhakti was no doubt known, but it was this direct divine teaching that put Bhakti in a particularly exalted position. No wonder worship of Krishna became very popular and remains so to this day, indeed all over the world. Let us listen again.
Arjuna, I am aware that a simple person living an ordinary life as a farmer or as a carpenter or as a weaver, etc., cannot look inside and discover God within. So what is the alternative? Simple. Worship God with form. Are you asking which particular form? Any form that pleases you. Incidentally, this is one of the reasons why God incarnates as a human and spends a long time here on earth. This gives mankind a good chance to see God, be in His company, talk to Him, directly experience His infinite love and compassion, witness His miracles, serve Him physically, etc. In turn, this leads to stories about the avatar, songs composed in His honor and so on, all of which make worship of the avatar so very easy and build up a heart-to-heart relationship with Him.
We pause to listen to the strains of an important bhajan, which highlights the basic philosophy of Bhakti.
Govinda bolo, Gopal bolo, Ram Ram bolo, Hari Ram bolo, Allah Sai Yeshu Nanak, Allah Sai Yeshu Nanak, Zarashtra Mahavir Buddha bolo, Zarashtra Mahavir Buddha bolo, Govinda bolo, Gopal bolo, ये नाम सारे हैं जीवन सहारे, ये नाम सारे हैं जीवन सहारे, परमानंद के ये खोलते हैं द्वारे, परमानंद के ये खोलते हैं द्वारे, जो नाम चाहो वो नाम बोलो, जो नाम चाहो वो नाम बोलो, प्रेम से बोलो, भाव से बोलो, प्रेम से बोलो, भाव से बोलो, गोपाल बोलो राम राम बोलो हरि नाम बोलो अल्लाह साई यीशु नानक कैलाश महावीर बुद्धला बोलो ये नाम सारे हैं जीवन सहारे परमानंद के ये खोलते हैं द्वारे जो नाम चाहो वो नाम बोलो प्रेम से बोलो भाव से बोलो प्रेम से बोलो भाव से बोलो गोविंद बोलो गोपाल बोलो
The point about this bhajan is, God is interested in the feelings that are present in our heart. He is ready to respond to any name by which we may call Him. But when we call Him, it must be with pure love and pure feelings. That is the point of Bhakti, real and selfless love for God. And now, Krishna takes up the question of idol worship, about which there is a lot of confusion.
Madhusudana, people use idols to worship you. Is that right or wrong?
Arjuna, that is a good question. People sometimes criticize idol worship. This is wrong. What is mere idol for a critic is a live representation of personal God for the devotee who is absorbed in worship. If a man has stone in his heart, he will see merely a stone statue. But if a man has God in his heart, the stone would verily appear to him as God. In short, it is all a matter of attitude. With the right attitude, even a picture would become God. But with the wrong attitude, even if God were to stand in front, the divine aspect would be totally missed. Thus, pictures and idols are not to be sneered at. They have their own place in the scheme of things, especially as the form can help in leading to the formless. Here is an example. I am now pointing my forefinger at the hill far away on the horizon. You first look at my finger. Follow the direction in which the finger is pointing and then look at the hill. Once you have seen the hill, the finger ceases to be relevant. It is the same thing with idols and pictures. They all point in the direction in which you must look. They lead you from the form to the formless. That is their utility.
And now, Krishna introduces a twist. What is that? For that, you have to wait till next time. Thank you and Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, we are back again with Krishna and Arjuna. Last time, just before we broke off, Krishna was telling Arjuna something about Bhakti. Just to remind you, although God exists as the formless or as Nirakara Brahman as they say, it is easier for ordinary mortals to relate to God via a specific form. And to make this even easier, God occasionally incarnates in human form, spending a long spell with humanity. To learn more about all this, we now turn to the Lord Himself.
Arjuna, I hope all that I said just now is clear to you. Let me now describe who amongst my devotees is really dear to me.
Lord, wait a minute please. I thought all were alike to you. Yet you seem to have favorites, and that is surprising.
You are right, Arjuna. All are indeed equal to me. But you see, if I say such and such a type of devotee is dear to me, then it would induce people to do certain things beneficial to them.
Santushta satatam yogi yatatma dridhanischayah mayyarpita mano buddhi yo madbhakta same priyah.
Contented, self-controlled, firm in faith, with all his mind and all his heart given to me, such a one is dear to me.
Yasman no dvijate loko lokan no dvijate chayah harshamarshavayoddvegai mukto yassajame priyah.
Not agitating the world, nor agitated by it, he stands above the sway of elation, competition and fear, accepting life, good and bad, as it comes.
Anapetachujirdaksha udasino gadavyadhaha sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhakta same priyah.
He is pure, efficient, detached, ready to meet every demand I make upon him as a humble instrument of my work.
Yo na hrishyati na dveshti na shochati na kamkshati shubha shubha parityagi bhakti manyas same priyah.
He is dear to me who runs not after the pleasant or away from the painful, grieves not over the past, lusts not today, but lets things come and go as they happen.
Yetu dharmyamritamidam yathoktam paryupasate sraddadhanamatparama bhaktastetiva me priyah.
But dearest to me are those who seek me in love and faith as life's eternal goal. They go beyond death to immortality.
What you just heard are some slokas of chapter 12 of the Gita that describe how to become dear to the Lord. Let us now hear how Krishna explains it all to Arjuna.
Arjuna, I told you that I advise devotees to become dear to me, merely to prod them to reach me faster. Now, how does one come real quick to me? These are some of the things the person would have to do. Arjuna, to start with, the person should have no trace of hatred in his heart, not even an iota. Why? Because hatred is sheer poison. I am pure love, love that is nectarine. Is it desirable for poison to contaminate nectar? That is why I say that a person who is free from hatred is dear to me. Got it? Further, an ideal devotee treats pleasure and pain alike. He does not go seeking pleasure, nor does he try to duck misery when it visits him. He never broods over the past, nor worries about the future. Immersed in the present, he would be busy thinking of me. For him, the present is no ordinary present. It is omnipresent. Ever balanced, such a person does not feel heady when praised, nor depressed when criticized.
Krishna, that is not easy.
Sure, it is not easy, but can you say that with practice you cannot do it? How can you say it is not possible without even trying? Arjuna, equanimity is what I like most. And equanimity means being balanced with respect to the opposites. One must be balanced about everything that one does in life. If you possess equanimity, you can face life squarely and do not have to hide yourself in the forest. According to me, equanimity is the best form of yoga.
Lord, can everyone achieve equanimity, or does one have to be a yogi?
Yes, Arjuna, everyone can do it, but must try, of course. It does not matter whether you are a soldier or a musician or even a cobbler. All that is required is to remain calm and accept things as they come, no matter what happens. Such a person would always say, "This is good for me."
Equanimity is very important in life, especially for crisis management. It is a quality needed for all, for who knows when he would have to face a crisis in life. Without equanimity, life can be very stressful, but with equanimity, the stress becomes less and one can face the problem and try to solve it. All this is standard wisdom, and management gurus give lectures on this topic all the time, and they even collect fees. These days, some of them are smart enough to use the Gita for this purpose. But the Lord mentions equanimity for an entirely different reason. The Lord's reason is simple. Let us ask the question, can oil mix with water? Obviously it can never. Water alone can mix with water, which means that if we want to merge with God, we must at least try to achieve internal peace. And equanimity is the first step to that. A person who is able to practice equanimity will not only be able to remain calm and unruffled at the practical level, but at the spiritual level, that person would also be indifferent to the attractions of the world. In other words, he would be easily able to rid himself of worldly attachments, and that is important. Let's get back to the conversation in progress.
Krishna, what is the simplest way of achieving equanimity?
Very simple. Just love all and serve all.
That would help?
Sure.
How?
Well, when you go out to help, say after an earthquake or some disaster like that, you would see a lot of people suffering. And when you see such suffering, you would realize the many blessings God has conferred on you. Thereafter, you would stop complaining about your problems and difficulties. And that is how equanimity starts building up.
Yes, that is why Swami has given this simple mantra for the Kali age. If we serve others, seeing God in all of them, we automatically start meeting the requirements laid down by Krishna in the Gita, and thus become dear to Him.
दिन दुखियों से प्रेम करो मेरा साई प्रसन्न होगा दिन दुखियों से प्रेम करो मेरा साई प्रसन्न होगा साई मेरा मैं तेरा ये प्रेम की बहती धारा
Well, Arjuna, any more doubts?
Yes, my lord. I have a few doubts. My first question is about karma and rebirth. You said many things, but I have not been able to absorb all of them. So, dear Lord, Please, can you explain that point once more?
Well, it is all like this. In creation, human birth is very special. God confers the blessing so that humans can realize the purpose of life, which is to merge once and for all with God.
I suppose that happens when the person dies.
Correct. You are born so that you do not have to be born again. And when you die, it must be for the last time. Now this does not usually happen, and humans are born again and again. That is because in every birth they do things that bind them to the world.
But what is it that binds, O Lord?
That exactly is what I am coming to. You see, when humans act in this world, it is always based on expectations, desires, etc. They want some fruit or result.
But that is natural, is it not?
Don't interrupt me. If there is some worldly motivation behind action, then that binds the person. Sometimes the motivation may be quite evil, making the action a sin. In that case, the binding effect is still more. As a result, even though the person may die, the person is pulled back and made to be born again. In life, people experience ups and downs, joy and sorrow. All these are connected with the binding effect. Good actions fetch good rewards and happiness, while bad actions fetch sorrow.
Is that what people call the law of karma?
Correct. The law of karma operates only when you allow yourself to be bound to the world.
How can one avoid that, since one has to live in this world?
That is possible. What you must do is the following. You live in this world, but go through life in a spiritual way, dedicating all your actions to God. In such a case, actions do not bind you, and you can thus escape birth. Live in love and live for God. Then you come back home quickly.
As we have been trying to convey again and again, Swami has made the Gita very simple for the Kali Yuga. He has reduced it to just one word, and that is prema. All we have to do is to start the day with love, spend the day with love, and end the day with love. The rest he would take care of. Can anyone give a better deal? More next time. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, and welcome to our series. We are nearing the end, and last time as we broke off, Krishna was clearing Arjuna's doubts. Let us see if Arjuna has any more doubts.
What is your next question, Arjuna?
Lord, why is there sorrow in life? Why can't people be always happy?
That is a good question. I told you that man's true nature is Atma, and bliss is the nature of Atma. When man comes into the world, he seeks happiness, which is his true nature. Unfortunately, instead of looking inside, he starts looking outside for bliss. Wrong place. What the world has to offer is not bliss, but imitation bliss or temporary happiness. And such happiness is always contaminated with sorrow and pain. Man falls for the imitation stuff, tries to grab it, and gets pain along with temporary happiness. Till man realizes his mistake and looks inside, he would be subject to pain and sorrow.
Does that mean looking inside is also a way of escaping rebirth?
Of course, the heart is the seat of God. And if man learns to spend time with God by looking inside, he would not only be happy, but also have no time for attachment, cravings, etc., all of which bind and cause rebirth.
Now this is an important point. And the lesson we must draw is that we must never have hatred towards anybody. Rama fought Ravana and killed him. But he did not hate Ravana. On the contrary, when Vibhishana, Ravana's brother, refused to perform the funeral rites for Ravana, Rama scolded Vibhishana and told him that if he, the blood brother, would not perform that duty, he, Rama, would do it. Once again, one's action may appear harsh at the worldly level, but it should be free from anger and hatred. Sometimes a father punishes a son. Does that mean the father hates his son? No, he punishes mainly for disciplining his son.
What next?
Is God present in evil persons also? In other words, is God present in a murderer also?
Arjuna, have I not told you that God is everywhere?
Yes, Lord. You did say that, but I'm having a problem. If God is present in a murderer, then how can he commit murder?
Arjuna, let us say there is a lamp. A lamp sheds light. Now suppose a person covers the lamp with a pot, say. Can you see the light from the lamp?
No.
Can you then say that because you see no light, there is no lamp?
I cannot see that.
In the same way, do not say God does not exist in the murderer. He is there in the cross body via the 5 elements. He is there as the prana shakti, and he is there in the heart also. Unfortunately, however, the buddhi of the murderer is totally shut off, and that is the reason he commits sin and appears as evil person.
Lord, why don't you help that person?
Arjuna, what a question is that? Just recall what happened before this war. Did I not go to the court of Dhritarashtra and plead with the Kauravas to settle for peace? I always help, but if man refuses to take my help, then what am I supposed to do?
Swami tells a beautiful story about how God never gives problems. Once, Yashoda was collecting water and Krishna was playing nearby. After filling her pots, Yashoda wanted to place them on her head. She called out to Krishna and said, "Hey Krishna, come here and help me to carry these pots." Krishna looked at her, laughed and just ran away. Yashoda cursed, took the help of some gopikas nearby, had the pots placed on her head and went home. As she approached her doorstep, there was Krishna waiting to help her. After Krishna helped her to unload the pots, Yashoda asked, "Krishna, when I asked for help, you refused. But now, even though I did not ask for help, you are helping me. What's the meaning of this?" Krishna replied with a smile, "I do not place problems on people's heads. I only help to remove them." That says it all. God never punishes, but always sends help, provided we pray for it.
Next question.
You said that the body is sacred. I do not quite follow that.
Arjuna, a human being grows in the womb of the mother. I am the one who helps the baby to grow. It is I who nourish the baby, using the pregnant mother as my proxy, and when the baby is born, I take my seat in the heart. Not only is the body my first gift to humans, but more important, I install myself as the indweller. In other words, the body is the temple of God. That is why body is very sacred. Arjuna, humans go to this temple and that temple for worshipping God. This is good, no doubt. But it is very surprising that they forget that they themselves are a temple of God. The temples human visit are built by humans using brick and mortar. The human body, on the other hand, is a temple built by God Himself for Himself. Humans do not understand that and abuse this temple in so many different ways. What a pity.
This last point is very important. These days, people punish and abuse the body in so many different ways. Some do it by overeating and not exercising. Some smoke, some drink, some even take drugs. Others tax the body unknowingly by leading a stressful life. People travel a lot, work long hours without rest, and then try to relax by foolish partying. All for what? All these actions not only bind, but they are also a direct insult to God, for verily the body is the temple of God.
Lord, you have been very kind to tell me many things, but I still have one fundamental doubt. As I understand it, I have to act, and at the same time I also have to be detached. But if I plunge into action, I become fully involved emotionally. How then can you expect me to be detached?
Arjuna, you are like most of the devotees. They barely listen, and that too with just one ear. They hardly remember anything of what I say. Detachment is an attitude of mind. Sannyasis are detached, and so why can't you also be?
Krishna, how is that possible? I am not a sannyasi. I have not renounced the world. I have a wife and children. Are you asking me to abandon them all?
Did I ask you to? When did I say that you must abandon your duty to your family? When did I ask you not to love the members of your family?
Krishna, that precisely is my point. In one breath, you are asking me for detachment, and in the very next, you say, love your family. Are these not contradictory instructions?
I see your problem. You are getting mixed up because you are interpreting my advice in a purely literal and worldly manner. You have to analyze it at a much higher level than you are doing at present. To start with, you should not imagine that just because a sannyasi has renounced the world, he is like a hard rock or a dry twig. He can be detached and yet be full of love and compassion.
How is that possible?
Well, take attachment. A person who suffers from attachment certainly loves his family, but only in a limited and worldly sort of way. But what about others? Does he love them like he loves the members of his own family? Never.
Krishna, please be reasonable. How is that ever possible? How can one love all equally?
Why not? Just look at me. Don't I love all? Am I not same to everyone?
But Lord, you are different.
Shut up and stop talking nonsense. After all this lecture from me about Atma, you are continuing to talk rubbish. Listen, everyone, yourself included, can emulate me in loving all and being alike to all. No question about that. Just that most people don't want to. They say, what's there in it for me? This is the bane of humanity. Selfishness. Utter selfishness. Arjuna, regard everyone as yourself. When you are thirsty, you have a drink of water. When you see someone else thirsty, imagine that you are thirsty yourself and give the person some water. See how happy that person becomes. Feel that happiness and become happy yourself. It is not difficult at all. See me in all people and help all. People don't try this simple method and on top of it give all sorts of lame excuses for not trying. Arjuna, it is detachment alone that would make you realize that you are an instrument of God. All are in fact my puppets. But when you actually realize that you are my puppet, then your life would change. You will act with the understanding that it is God who is using you to enact His drama. That understanding would also destroy your body consciousness, the greatest disease in the world. Arjuna, you must understand one thing very clearly. When I am commanding you to fight, it is not the fighting part that is important, but the duty aspect that is important.
Well, one by one, Arjuna's doubts are being cleared. What more is left? That we shall find out next time. Thanks for listening. Jai Sai Ram.